Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about if the Godox SL60 is still usable light in 2025. So I do know that the Godox SL60 is kind of a dated light. It's been around a while and there's been a lot of lights with the same power that are newer, but I want to see if it's still kind of relevant and if it's worth purchasing in 2025. First off, there's already a Mark II of this light that I think is bicolor, and it is quieter, and I think it is also brighter. But anything I will be saying about this, I think applies to the Mark II. So if you're looking to buy the Mark II, this should still inform you on what you need to know. So how bright is this light? It is pretty bright. It is 60 watts, so it's going to give you a decent amount of output, and I do think that it is definitely enough for this sort of YouTube setup. If you are going into higher production and you need a lot more light, you're probably using stronger lights for the key, but these can still be good as a hair light or an accent light, or maybe moonlight too, if you have that sort of effect where you have moonlight coming in as through the shears kind of trickling in. One use that I do like using this for now is putting an umbrella in front of it and shooting it kind of off into the room so that it brings up the overall brightness of the room and fills in a lot of the shadows. And then using a brighter light, maybe something in the 200 or 300 watt range, to then use as your primary source of light. But now I do want to list a few things that I think are practical cons of this light. I know there are people that are like, oh, the build quality's trash, the reflector thing doesn't really, stay where it is, the fan's really loud. And some of those things are true, but I think looking practically at the problems, they're not as prevalent as a lot of people would say. Yes, I think the build quality is actually fine, especially for a light that costs only 110 bucks. The fan is a little bit loud, but all of the sound comes out the front. So I don't think, unless your mic is pointed straight at the light, it's not going to affect your audio that much. And most people are watching YouTube on their phones anyway. So they're not picking up all of the little intricacies of the sound. But the two things that I don't like are, like I said, that this light only goes to 10%, and then that's the lowest it goes. And I've had to put a lot of things in front of this light, like that grid, to make it less bright. So I do wish that it dimmed down maybe in 1% increments, below 10%, and I think that would allow a lot more flexibility. The other thing that I don't like about it is the yoke. A lot of lights have smooth yokes, and some don't. This is an example of a not smooth yoke. And not only is this annoying and sounds like you're breaking it, it also actually affects the accuracy of how you're pointing this light. So if I have this Fresnel attachment on the light and I'm trying to point it at a very specific spot in the frame, like I'll have the light here and like, no, I want a little bit higher. And at a particular distance, that actually may be too much. So like, you can't be super precise with the location of your spotted light with this particular yoke. I don't like it. But that brightness thing and the yoke thing may be things that are addressed in the Mark II version. Like I said, I haven't used it, so I don't quite know. But those may be things that have been addressed and fixed. I know the fan is fixed, or is more quiet than this version, so that is one thing to keep in mind. But the last thing I want to talk about is that the competition of this light to other lights is now becoming a lot more, and I think this light is slowly becoming less and less relevant because you're getting to the point where technology can compress more and more things into a smaller body. Because there are smaller lights than this now, and I would say the Amaran 60D is probably its biggest competitor. It's, I don't know, it's it's like half the size. When you're adding all of your gear together and you're putting it on stands and stuff, like the size of a light can be really helpful. And if it's half this size, I think that is beneficial. And those lights are just, they have more tech in them. They're, I think, a little bit brighter and they are lighter. And so that means they can go on more stands. They can be rigged in various ways. This light is pretty heavy, so you can't put it everywhere. But if you're interested in looking at those types of lights, DSLR Video Shooter has a great video on the Amaran 60D. And then Filmmaker compares multiple 60-watt lights that she's already reviewed and kind of compares them and talks about kind of the nitty-gritty aspects of all of those lights. So I do think that those videos would be helpful for you to watch if you're looking for a light that's in the 60-watt range that isn't as big and bulky as this one. So what's my consensus? Is this light worth it in 2025? I would say so. I would say if I bought this today, well, okay, the Mark II. I wouldn't buy this light, I would buy the Mark II. But is this light, Mark II or not, worth it? In 2025, I wouldn't regret buying it. I'll just say that. I wouldn't regret buying it if I bought this in 2025. But I do think that now there are enough lights that are competitors to this and better than this light that if you're in the budget range for lights, I think would just maybe move up your budget or wait a little bit and save up for a slightly newer light that I think will offer more than this one does. So I think brightness level and all of that is great. There are more lights that I think are more beneficial at this point in time than this light. Plastic, made for everyone. So hopefully you like this video. I've got more coming out like this, kind of reviewing and practically looking at more budget-friendly filmmaking gear. So if you're interested in seeing more of those types of things, go ahead and subscribe. Like the video because it does help me out. And if you're interested in getting the Mark II version of this light, I have an affiliate link down below that will take you to the light on Amazon. And if you purchase it, I get a small commission. It helps me out. You don't get charged anything more. And, you know, it benefits everybody. So I hope you like this video. Hope you found it helpful. And I will see you in the next one. Cut!